Welcome to the Dynamic Data Visualization tool produced internally by the Thompson School District as a means of quickly and easily examining information graphically. The use of this tool requires Microsoft Excel 2007 or 2010. The first release of this tool includes a district-level view of current Thompson School District CSAP data and is displayed in two tabs. The features described within this document behave with either of these two tabs. One of those tabs is called CSAP percentage. This shows bar graphs displaying the percentage of student scores within each of the listed performance levels. The second tab is called CSAP number, and this shows a bar graph displaying the raw number of students' scores within each of the performance levels. You'll notice that for these two tabs, in this particular case, they show the 2010 data for each of the content areas. The size of each of the colored bars on each of the graphs is the same between the CSAP percentage and the CSAP number graphs because they're showing the same data. One just shows the percentage of students in that area, and the other one shows the number of students in the area. There is a third tab on this workbook called User Tips, and that tab explains the same information that's being described in this video for your reference. The primary benefit of this tool is its ability to display achievement results by selecting one or more specific categories of students and by filtering or limiting certain elements within those categories. Let's take a look. To activate this process, click on the pivot chart itself, and the fields list will appear on the right. Currently, we have the content area selected. That's why we see the 4 contents, and CSAP years selected. If we'd like to see additional information, for example, school level or grade, we can add those elements. Obviously, the more elements we add, the more messy this chart becomes. And for that reason, it might be necessary to deselect certain elements or perhaps to filter certain elements. Filtering allows us to select only certain pieces of information within a given category. For example, we currently see under CSAP year only 2010 data. If I select the triangle on the right-hand side of the CSAP year label, we see that only 2010 is selected. If we would like to compare 2010 data to 2009 data, I will just click on the 2009 option and select OK. And now we have our data displayed, so we've got the 2009 data listed by content area and the 2010 data listed by content area. This allows us to compare the information. If you prefer to see this nested as content area and then school year, we'll just change the sort order. What I will do is temporarily deselect CSAP year so that only content area is chosen. Then I will click on CSAP year again. This forces it to become the second item in the nesting. This changes our display so that we see the content areas first and the CSAP years secondly. And that allows us to make an easier comparison of the data trends. If we look at the CSAP number data, it's important to note that when we make filters and filter down on numbers only, we will be limiting to the number of students prescribed. So if we look at school name, and let's change our content area to only reflect math, and let's look at the ethnicity. We'll notice that the way this demographic is expressed, we have only one student in this demographic area who happened to have been advanced on the test. And we have one student in this demographic area at the bottom who is partially proficient. It's important to note that when reporting out information that we recognize the number of students that make up a group so that we don't overgeneralize for that population. Future releases of this tool will include a school-level file with additional specific information such as student name, homeroom teacher or team name where applicable, and performance indices to allow us to check for growth. For the initial use of this tool, it is strongly recommended that a copy of the original file be saved and accessed for investigative purposes. That way, should a copy of the file become too disheveled, the original file can be referenced. Should you have any additional comments, questions, or data requests, please contact Patrick Mount in the Learning Services Accountability and Accreditation Department at the email address or phone number listed on this screen. Thank you very much.